Greetings, traveler, and welcome to Third Eye Frequency, where intuition meets insight, archetypes meet reality, and sometimes you finally defeat the monster, only to discover you've absolutely no fucking idea who you are without it. I am your host, the Neon Priestess, and tonight's MiniQuest begins where most fairy tales usually celebrate and roll credits, after the dragon dies. The beast has been defeated, King Haggard's been dethroned, the Red Bull has fucked off into the sea, and the unicorns have been set free. Prince Lear has completed enough heroic side quests to qualify for the Platinum Suffering Trophy. And now, nothing is actively trying to kill you. So why is it you're still sleeping in your armor? Because survival mode may have kept you alive, but somewhere along the way, it also became your profession. You became exceptionally good at enduring, anticipating danger, solving emergencies, carrying impossible loads while insisting, no, I've got it, as several of your major organs quietly submitted their resignations.
Look, you stupid bastard, you've got no arms left! Yes, I have. Look! Just a flesh wound.
You're not merely a person who has suffered. You're an expert sufferer, certified, decorated, possibly Employee of the Month. And according to tonight's spread, your survival mode subscription has expired. And traveler, if you intend to argue with that decision, please be advised that your case may be escalated to the regional manager, Molly Grew. A woman who's already waited several decades for magic and doesn't have time for your procrastinating bullshit.
And who's this long lout? I don't like the look of him. Slit his whip.
Because The Last Unicorn isn't really a story about returning to who you were before the suffering. Nobody returns unchanged. Amalthea remembers regret. Molly remembers waiting. Lear survives the heroic ending and must discover who the hell he is when nobody needs a dragon murdered before breakfast.
And then she looked at me, and I was sorry I had killed the thing. Sorry for killing a dragon.
The castle is behind them. The story keeps moving. And tonight, traveler, so do you. On tonight's episode, your survival mode subscription has expired. Lessons from The Last Unicorn. Is this you? Follow me to the vibe check to determine whether you're actually still in danger or merely annoyed that your trauma no longer controls the plot. Welcome to the Vibe Check Lounge Frequency Collective. Before we open tonight's support ticket and investigate why you're still paying for a survival plan the universe has already cancelled, let's check the energetic weather report. Okay, tonight's archetypes are the Maiden and Tale of Mossy Gold. And together they suggest tender emotional renewal with like a 90% chance of being extremely fucking pissed that the magic took this long to arrive. Let's begin with the Maiden. Now, before anyone hears the word maiden and imagines some virginal 18-year-old wandering barefoot through the forest waiting to be picked up by a man with a white horse, please calm your medieval dick. Because the Maiden isn't about sexual purity. She's not an age. She's not naive, helpless, or being too inexperienced to recognize a suspicious cottage made of fucking candy. The Maiden is the part of us willing to encounter something for the first time. Curiosity, openness, beginning again without already deciding how the story ends. Which may sound lovely, unless you're an expert sufferer, because survival mode fucking hates being a beginner.
Hey, no excuses, we all suck when we start.
Survival mode wants credentials, contingency plans, emergency exits, a fully annotated list of every possible way this could go wrong, including several scenarios that violate the known laws of physics. You already know how to survive disappointment. You know how to function while exhausted. You know how to keep moving through pain while assuring everyone around you that you're absolutely fine. You've mastered that old chapter. Unfortunately, the next chapter uses a completely different control scheme. The Maiden asks whether you can become inexperienced again. Not inexperienced at suffering, inexperienced at living without it. And that brings us to Tale of Mossy Gold. This card depicts a mermaid whose once golden tail has become mossy, battered, and neglected. Not because she stopped being magical, but because she's been slogging through the mire for so long that basic maintenance fell somewhere below remain alive on the priority list. Which honestly feels extremely consistent with survival mode. I mean, who has time to polish their scales when the fucking kingdom's on fire? So you adapted, you became useful, durable. You became the kind of person who can crawl through a haunted swamp carrying 3 injured villagers and still apologizing for being slightly behind schedule. Congratulations, your reward is apparently moss. Survival mode may have taught you to neglect every part of yourself that wasn't immediately useful. Your body became transportation. Your feelings became operational hazards. Your desires became optional DLC that would download once everyone else was safe. And now the universe is asking, when exactly did you plan to come back for yourself?
Joe? Didn't you drink any water for yourself, Joe?
This is where Molly Grew becomes so important. Because when Molly finally encounters the unicorn, she doesn't respond like an untouched fairytale maiden. She's exhausted, angry, weathered. She's waited years for magic, and when it finally appears, her first response is, "Where the fuck have you been?"
Can it truly be? Where have you been? Where have you been? Damn you! Where have you been?
And honestly, valid. Molly grieves the person she was when she first needed that magic. She believed wonder was supposed to arrive when she was young, hopeful, and still capable of meeting it without a detailed list of complaints. But the unicorn doesn't come to the maiden Molly used to be. She comes to the woman Molly has become. And Molly follows her anyway.
It would be the last unicorn in the world that came to Molly Grew. It's all right. I forgive you.
That's the maiden. Not returning to some untouched version of yourself from before the pain, but allowing the person you are now, older, wiser, angrier, possibly carrying a knife, to experience something new. The maiden beside Tale of Mossy Gold says, your capacity for wonder didn't expire simply because life arrived late. Your softness isn't dead. Your curiosity hasn't waned. Your gold is not gone. It's simply been sitting beneath several years of emotional algae. And yeah, cleaning that shit off may take a minute. This vibe check isn't asking you to become naive again. It's not asking you to forget what happened, trust every suspicious wizard, or wander directly toward the first glowing object you encounter in the woods. It's asking you whether your wisdom can protect you without imprisoning you, whether you can care for the self who survived without forcing her to remain battered as proof that the suffering was real, whether you can begin again without pretending you were never changed, because Amalthea cannot return to being the unicorn she was before. She remembers love, she remembers grief, she remembers regret. The magic returns, but innocence doesn't. And, maybe that's not a tragedy. Maybe that's what makes the next chapter real. Welcome to the Dragon Problem, Frequency Collective. For our first card set, I have drawn the Knight of Pentacles, clarified by the Five of Pentacles, with the King of Pentacles bridging the connection. And right away, these cards present us with someone who's extremely competent. The Knight of Pentacles is steady, disciplined, responsible, and prepared. This is the person who keeps moving when everyone else has collapsed dramatically across the nearest piece of furniture. If your adventuring party needs to cross a cursed mountain, deliver medicine to a dying village, repair a broken wagon, or transport one emotionally useless bard, the Knight of Pentacles is exactly who you want handling the logistics. This card isn't exactly glamorous, but let me tell you, there is nothing sexier than the Knight of Pentacles when the camp's ambushed at 2 in the morning. They show up, they follow through, they do what needs to be done. They continue long after inspiration has packed its shit and left the kingdom. And on the surface, this looks extremely positive. But then the Five of Pentacles enters the reading and asks, why are you working so fucking hard?
I really think you should try something else.
But what's left on Earth that I haven't tried? Giants, ogres, black knights, terrible tasks, fatal riddles? Molly, for her sake, I've become a hero, but my great deeds mean nothing to her.
Because the Five of Pentacles is scarcity, exclusion, hardship, the fear of being left outside without enough support, protection, money, love, or warmth. Fear that if you stop working, everything will collapse. Fear that if you're not useful, you'll become disposable. Fear that safety is something you must continually earn through exceptional performance. And this is where Prince Lear enters the reading. Because Prince Lear knows how to be heroic. Dragons, slain. Giants, defeated. Black Knights, removed from the project timeline. Prince Lear can perform every measurable act of courage imaginable. What he can't do is make Amalthea love him by completing enough fucking deliverables. And that's the dragon problem. Dragons are convenient. They give suffering a shape. They provide a clear objective. They allow you to point at something and say, there. That's the problem. I'll kill it, receive the achievement, and then everything inside me will finally feel okay. Except Prince Lear kills the dragon. The banner drops, the victory music plays, and the emptiness remains. Because external achievement can't always satisfy an internal need. The Five of Pentacles doesn't necessarily mean you currently lack resources. Sometimes it just means that part of you is still emotionally organized around a time when you did. The emergency ended, but your identity remains stationed at the battlefield. So the moment one dragon dies, your nervous system begins scanning the horizon for another. Not necessarily because you enjoy suffering, but because suffering gives you instruction. Peace gives you choices. And choices can be fucking terrifying when your entire sense of worth has been built around how well you perform under pressure. Now, bridging these cards, we have the King of Pentacles, and I really love seeing him here because the progression from Knight to King is incredibly important, especially since they're in the same suite. The King isn't asking the Knight to abandon responsibility, discipline, or practical wisdom. These qualities brought him here, but the King has learned something the Knight hasn't. You don't have to remain in constant motion to prove that you deserve your place in the kingdom. The Knight serves the castle. The King inhabits it. The Knight earns his place through labor. The King understands that the place is already his. The Knight keeps asking, what must I accomplish next? The King asks, what have I built, and am I actually allowing myself to fucking live inside it? King of Pentacles represents security, stewardship, stability, and the ability to enjoy what's been created. Not recklessly or irresponsibly, but without behaving as though one unproductive afternoon will cause the entire fucking bloodline to fall into ruin. The King doesn't sprint into the forest every time a branch makes a suspicious noise. He's got people for that shit.
So it's come down to this, has it? A fight to the death. Mano a mano. Man to man. Just you and me and my God.
So the bridge between these cards suggests that the next stage of your development isn't becoming more competent. Frankly, you're competent enough. Your next stage is allowing competence to become security. allowing the work you've already done to support you, allowing the door to remain open without continuing to stand outside in the snow just because hardship feels more familiar than being welcomed inside. And that may be the painful question here. If no one currently needs you to save them, do you still know that you matter? Traveler, there is no shame in the survival strategy shown here. It worked. It carried you through some real shit. It taught you endurance, discipline, ingenuity, and how to remain standing when the entire plot became unreasonable. But a strategy can be both heroic and complete.
I am a hero, and heroes know that things must happen when it is time for them to happen. A quest may not simply be abandoned. Unicorns may go unrescued for a long time, but not forever.
The King of Pentacles is waiting on the other side of that realization, not as a reward for suffering harder, but as the part of you finally capable of receiving what all that suffering was supposedly trying to create. Safety, support, stability, a warm room, a decent meal, one fucking afternoon in which nobody requires emergency assistance. The dragon is dead, Traveler. You don't need to keep stabbing it to confirm. Your next quest isn't to defeat another danger, it's to tolerate being safe without inventing one.
Of course, that is exactly what heroes are for.
Welcome to the Molly Problem Frequency Collective. For this section, I have drawn the 8 of Wands, clarified by the 4 of Cups, with the 5 of Swords bridging the connection. And right off the bat, this card set asks an incredibly painful question. What happens when something you wanted finally arrives, but it arrives too fucking late to meet the person you were when you originally asked for it?
Couldn't hold it.
Leaving us so early, magician.
The 8 of Wands is movement, arrival, communication, energy that was previously delayed suddenly breaking loose. This is the message coming through, the opportunity appearing, the magic finally locating the correct delivery address after circling the enchanted forest for approximately 30 years. The 8 of Wands says, things are moving now. And under ordinary circumstances, that would be excellent news. Unfortunately, the 4 of Cups responds, oh, now you fucking show up. 4 of Cups is emotional withdrawal, disappointment, disengagement, the inability or refusal to receive what's currently being offered. Sometimes this card appears because we genuinely don't want the opportunity in front of us. But sometimes we do want it. We're just simply angry that it didn't come sooner. And this is Molly Grew standing before the unicorn. She's imagined this moment, needed this moment, perhaps spent years believing that if magic ever found her, it would recognize the person she was meant to become. And the unicorn appears after life has already happened to her. So Molly doesn't greet her with the delicate wonder expected from a storybook maiden. She demands, "Where have you been?" And honestly, that scene makes me cry every time. When I was a kid, I cried because I thought she was being mean to the unicorn for literally no reason I could find. I even developed this whole crazy theory that Molly was also once a unicorn but got transformed like Amalthea and had to stay that way. But now that I'm older, it makes me cry for a different reason. Because Molly isn't merely angry at the unicorn. She's literally grieving the girl who waited for her. The part of you represented by the 4 of Cups may be doing the same thing. You finally receive support, but only after learning how to survive without it. You finally find community, but only after becoming comfortable with isolation. So when the Eight of Wands announces that the next chapter has arrived, the Four of Cups doesn't necessarily feel grateful. It feels fucking insulted. Where was this when I was drowning? Why did I have to become this strong? Why did help arrive only after I learned not to fucking expect it? Why now? And those are all fair questions. Unfortunately, the universe has the customer service responsiveness of an abandoned Radio Shack. Now, bridging these cards, we have the Five of Swords. And the Five of Swords is conflict, but more specifically, it often represents a conflict that cannot produce a satisfying victory. The Five of Swords suggests that when something good finally arrives, part of you may immediately force it to answer for every bad thing that came before it. The new relationship must pay damages for the people who abandoned you. The new opportunity must compensate for every door that stayed closed. The peaceful chapter must explain why the previous one nearly fucking killed you. The magic must stand trial for arriving late.
I'm here now.
Oh, and where were you 20 years ago? 10 years ago? Where were you when I was new? When I was one of those innocent young maidens you always come to? How dare you? How dare you come to me now, when I am this?
And this response makes emotional sense. But it creates an impossible assignment. Because the present can't go backward and protect you from the past. No matter how beautiful the opportunity is now, it can't become the thing you needed then. And that's the conflict no one can win. But here's where survival mode becomes especially sneaky. It may convince you that accepting the good thing now means admitting the delay didn't matter. And that's just simply not true. Acceptance is not retroactive consent. Receiving something now doesn't mean you agreed to go without it then. Molly doesn't pretend the unicorn arrived on time. She doesn't erase her anger, hide her grief, or perform spiritually appropriate gratitude for the audience. She tells the magic exactly what it cost her to wait. And then she just goes with it. And that's the lesson. Molly allows anger and wonder to exist in the same body. She can say, "You should have come sooner," and still recognize that the unicorn is here now.
Can you really see her? Do you really know what she is?
If you had been waiting to see a unicorn as long as I have,
She's the last unicorn in the world.
it would be the last unicorn in the world that came to Molly Crew. It's all right. I forgive you.
Well, it's time for us to go now.
I'm ready.
The Four of Cups becomes dangerous only when disappointment turns into permanent refusal. When we reject what's present, not because it's wrong for us, but because accepting it can't rewrite the past. And I want to be careful here, because this reading is not saying stop being bitter and appreciate what you have. Absolutely not. The important thing arrived late. Someone you cared about failed you. The help should have come sooner. Some version of you deserved tenderness it never fucking received. The cards aren't asking us to deny that grief. What they are asking is whether we intend to deny the person we are now too. Because refusing the current gift doesn't deliver it to your younger self. It only creates a second version of you who is forced to go without. And perhaps the most loving thing you can do for the person you were is to not reject the magic on their behalf. And perhaps even take them with you when you accept it. The Eight of Wands says the story is moving. The Four of Cups says part of you isn't ready. And the Five of Swords says you may be trying to settle an old debt by fighting with a future that didn't create it. You are allowed to be angry, to grieve, to ask where the fuck the unicorn has been. But when you're finished, you must decide whether you still want to walk beside her. Welcome to the Happy Ending Hangover Frequency Collective. For this section, I have drawn 3 of Cups, clarified by 10 of Swords, with the 3 of Swords bridging the connection. And this card set looks like someone fired a confetti cannon directly over an emotional crime scene.
The happy ending cannot come in the middle of the story.
But what if there isn't a happy ending at all?
There are no happy endings, because nothing ends.
Because the 3 of Cups is joy, celebration, community, reunion. The moment everyone raises a glass because the quest has been completed and, against all reasonable expectations, most of the party is still alive. The unicorns are free. The kingdom's been liberated. The terrible thing is over. This should be a happy ending. Unfortunately, the 3 of Cups is immediately clarified by the 10 of Swords, and the 10 of Swords isn't exactly known for bringing festive fucking energy. This is exhaustion, collapse, an ending so complete that the body finally stops negotiating and just lies face down on the battlefield. The crisis is finished, and so are you. And I think this distinction is important because we often imagine surviving something will feel like triumph. We picture the music swelling, the castle gates opening, our friends gathering around us while someone hands us a medal and a ridiculously oversized goblet of wine. But instead, survival frequently feels like reaching the end of an impossible chapter and saying, I would now like to sleep for 9 consecutive months and never answer another fucking email. The 3 of Cups says, there's something worth celebrating. The 10 of Swords says, you may not currently possess the emotional upper body strength required to hold the wine goblet. And bridging them, we have the 3 of Swords. Grief, heartbreak, the pain that was temporarily postponed because there were more urgent things to do. That's the hidden mechanism inside this card set. Survival mode doesn't always allow grief to happen when the wound occurs. Sometimes it files the emotion under not operationally relevant and continues the mission. You can't fully process your childhood while escaping it. You can't stop in the middle of the dragon attack to unpack how the dragon's behavior has affected your attachment style. The dragon will fucking eat you. Super inconsiderate. So you function, you make decisions, solve problems, protect other people, keep the wagon moving. Tell yourself you'll feel everything later. And then, later finally arrives carrying 47 unopened emotional invoices.
You guys the Eradicators?
Yeah, who are you?
This is Screaming Steve, live with the winners of Rock TV's Local Heroes Contest. The Eradicators from Ronald Reagan High. Here, reach out and touch this. So you guys are going to be fighting with Rock Super...
The 10 of Swords is the collapse. The 3 of Swords is the bill. And the 3 of Cups is the deeply confused friend standing nearby holding a cake that says, "Congratulations on surviving something horrible." This is why people sometimes feel worse after the crisis ends. Not because they're regressing or because they secretly preferred the suffering. And not because the victory was meaningless. It's just that they finally have enough safety to feel what survival required them to postpone.
Finally.
The grief was not created by the peaceful chapter. The peaceful chapter simply gave it somewhere to land. And nowhere is that more visible than at the end of the last unicorn. Technically, the heroes win. King Haggard is gone. The Red Bull is defeated. The unicorns return to the world. Lear survives. Schmendrick finally discovers his power. Every major quest objective receives a beautiful little green check mark. And yet, Lear loses Amalthea.
I remember you. I remember.
Molly can't reclaim the years she spent waiting. Schmendrick receives the magic he wanted alongside the knowledge of what transformation costs.
You are a true wizard now, as you always wished. Does it make you happy?
Well, men don't always know when they're happy, but I think so.
And the unicorn returns to her true form, carrying something no other unicorn possesses: regret.
I'm no longer like the others. For no unicorn was ever born who could regret, but now I do. I regret.
The ending is happy. The ending is heartbreaking. Both statements are true, and that may be the most important message in this whole reading, because survival mode loves emotional simplicity. Danger equals bad, escape equals good, victory equals happy. If happy doesn't immediately load, something must have gone wrong, right? But human beings aren't old-school RPG characters with one available status effect. You can be relieved and devastated, grateful and furious, proud of what you accomplished and deeply resentful that it was ever fucking required of you. You can love the person you became and grieve the person you might have been. These emotions don't cancel each other out. The presence of grief doesn't mean you failed to appreciate the victory, and the presence of joy doesn't mean the loss no longer matters. The Three of Cups also reminds us that this processing may not be meant to happen alone. Survival often isolates us. It teaches us not to burden anyone, not to need too much, not to let the party see us bleeding through the chainmail. But recovery isn't always another solo quest. Sometimes healing looks like allowing someone to sit beside you while the emotional anesthesia wears off. And they don't need to solve it. They don't have to deliver a spiritually profound speech or explain why everything happened for a reason. In fact, if they attempt the second thing, Molly Grew has authorized you to throw them into the fucking sea. They can bring cake. They can listen. They can remind you that the story continued even when the ending didn't feel the way you expected. Because a happy ending isn't a permanent emotional state anyway. It's simply the point in the story where the immediate danger stops controlling the plot. The unicorns can return. The kingdom can rejoice. The cake can be served. And somebody can still need to sit quietly in the corner for a while, processing the fact that they almost fucking died. That doesn't make the ending less happy. It makes the ending more honest.
Father? Father, I had that same dream. No, I was dead.
Welcome to the Amalthea Problem Frequency Collective. For our final main card set, I have drawn the Eight of Pentacles, clarified by the Six of Swords, with the Six of Cups bridging the connection. And this set contains one of the least glamorous truths about leaving survival mode. You may have escaped the terrible chapter, but now you have to learn how to fucking live outside it.
I am a little afraid to go home. I have been mortal, and some part of me is mortal yet. I'm no longer like the others.
The Eight of Pentacles is work, practice, repetition, the patient development of a new skill. This isn't heroic labor. No magic bulls, no dramatic rescues, no kingdom saved before breakfast. This is the quiet, repetitive work of becoming capable of something you've never had to do before. And in this reading, that new skill may simply be living when nothing is actively trying to destroy you, which sounds easy, but if your nervous system spent years specializing in crisis management, ordinary life can feel like an advanced fucking elective. Survival provided clear instructions. Anticipate danger, minimize your needs, remain useful. Don't become too comfortable, and always keep moving. Healthy living comes with much less satisfying directions. Rest before you collapse. Eat before you become a haunted Victorian child. Ask for help before the wagon loses a wheel. Enjoy something without turning it into a productivity system. Let a good day remain good without conducting a full post-mortem to determine what suspicious shit you may have overlooked. That's Eight of Pentacles work. Small repetitions that teach you safety isn't merely an administrative error that the universe will correct once it notices you relaxing. And I want to be super careful here because the expert sufferer may immediately hear the word practice and begin developing a comprehensive recovery project plan. Please don't. You don't have to optimize your healing. You don't get extra credit for processing grief ahead of schedule. So please don't turn your nervous system into a fucking continuous improvement initiative. The Eight of Pentacles isn't here asking for perfection. It's asking for consistency. One moment of allowing support. One afternoon without manufacturing an emergency. One decision made from desire instead of fear. One ordinary experience that teaches your body we're not at war anymore. And that brings us to the Six of Swords, because the Six of Swords is transition, leaving difficult waters, moving away from a place you can no longer remain. It's not always a joyful card. The traditional representation is a person in a boat, and they aren't generally firing confetti cannons and screaming, "New chapter, bitches!" They may be exhausted. They may be grieving. They may not know what the hell waits on the other shore. They only know that the previous shore is finished. That's what makes this card such a perfect reflection of Amalthea. The castle is behind her, King Haggard is gone, the Red Bull is defeated, and she's returned to her true form. But returning to her true form doesn't return her to her previous self. Amalthea cannot unknow love. She can't unknow mortality. She can't unknow what it felt like to lose something she really wanted to keep.
I remember you. I remember.
The transformation has ended. The transformation's consequences have not. And that may be exactly where you find yourself now. You're no longer inside the experience that changed you, but you're still discovering who you became because of it. You're no longer a girl, and not yet a woman. Sorry, couldn't help myself. But this is why recovery isn't a factory reset. You don't return to the original settings and erase every corrupted save file. You move forward as a new version of yourself, carrying information the old version didn't possess. And bridging the Eight of Pentacles with the Six of Swords, we have the Six of Cups, the card of memory, the past, the younger self, the places and people we once associated with safety, innocence, or belonging. This is the part of the reading that looks backward, not necessarily because it wants to return, but because it needs to understand what's coming with us. The Six of Cups reminds us that leaving survival mode doesn't mean abandoning the person who survived. You don't need to shame that version of yourself for being frightened, hypervigilant, exhausted, guarded, or deeply suspicious of unsolicited unicorn delivery. Old you had your reasons. Old you developed those strategies because they fucking helped. But helping the old version of you doesn't mean keeping them trapped in the chapter where those strategies were necessary. You honor the younger self by bringing them forward, not by recreating the conditions that injured them.
And I love you. Don't let him. Lear. when I'm a unicorn?
Amalthea, don't.
That distinction matters because nostalgia can become another survival strategy. We may romanticize the person we were before the loss, before the burnout, before the betrayal, before the body changed, before we learned how complicated everything could be. And we imagine healing means getting that person back. But that version doesn't exist anymore, and that's not necessarily bad news. And you're not meant to become them again. You're meant to become someone capable of caring for them. The Six of Cups is the memory, the Six of Swords is the movement, and the Eight of Pentacles is the practice of carrying one without allowing it to prevent the other. The past may travel with you, but it's not allowed to steer the boat. And this is the Amalthea Problem. She's still the unicorn, but she's not the same unicorn. She's more complicated now, more vulnerable, more sorrowful, and perhaps more capable of understanding the creatures whose lives briefly intersected with hers. Her grief didn't make her less magical, it made her magic more conscious. The Eight of Pentacles asks you to practice the next life. The Six of Swords asks you to keep moving toward it, and the Six of Cups reminds you to bring compassion for every previous version of yourself who never believed this crossing would be possible. Your previous version is no longer supported, not because they were defective, but because they completed their part of the journey. And now, traveler, it's time to save your progress and move forward. Welcome to the bonus round Frequency Collective. For tonight's outcome, I have drawn the Six of Pentacles with the Ace of Wands, and our final advice card is the Eight of Cups. After an entire reading about suffering, survival, delayed magic, complicated victories, and post-dragon emotional collapse, this outcome is surprisingly straightforward. The Six of Pentacles says you are no longer meant to do everything alone. This is reciprocity, support, a balanced exchange in which care, effort, attention, and resources are allowed to move in both directions. You can help others without becoming their unpaid emergency infrastructure. And you may receive help without submitting 17 supporting documents proving you've suffered enough to qualify.
Have you got a 27B/6?
27B/6.
The expert sufferer may be extremely comfortable giving. Giving creates control. Giving makes you useful. Giving allows you to remain safely positioned as the person who doesn't need anything. Receiving is a completely different bitch. Receiving requires you to trust that someone may show up without demanding your blood, your labor, or your firstborn emotional support dragon in return. But the Six of Pentacles says the next chapter can't be built entirely from your own depleted inventory. Somebody else gets to carry part of the quest. You're allowed to have party members, you know? And beside it, we have the Ace of Wands, which is the return of energy, desire, inspiration, appetite, the first living spark of something that exists because you want it, not because it's urgently fucking required. Survival mode asks, what must I do? The Ace of Wands asks, what makes me want to be here? And that question may feel unfamiliar, possibly suspicious. You may be tempted to turn the spark into a responsibility, monetize it, build a 5-year plan around it, or otherwise work the poor little bastard directly into the ground. Please don't. Let something begin because it feels alive. Not every spark is an approaching castle fire. Sometimes it's just simply warmth. And finally, we arrive at the Eight of Cups, whose advice is leave. Not because the previous chapter meant nothing, but because it's already given you everything it can. The Eight of Cups doesn't ask you to burn the castle down, salt the earth, and deny you ever fucking lived there. It asks you to stop returning to the same empty room, expecting it to produce a different ending. Amalthea must leave Haggard's castle. Molly must leave the life that taught her magic had forgotten her. King Lear must leave behind the belief that usefulness requires a dragon. And you may need to leave the identity that only knows how to prove its worth through suffering. The Six of Pentacles says support is available. The Ace of Wands says life is returning. The Eight of Cups says you won't fully meet either one while continuing to face backward. Your survival mode subscription has expired, so stop renewing the fucking subscription. Leave the account closed and find out what you want to do with all the life it fought so hard to preserve. Frequency Collective, before Universe Support officially closes tonight's account, grab your D10. If you don't own one, no worries, just use the virtual dice portal link below. Tonight's roll will determine what post-survival quest is currently loading for you. The dragon's dead, the castle's behind you. The fuck are you supposed to do now? Roll your D10. If you rolled a 1 or 2, you get the King Lear loop. Status: searching for another dragon. No current emergency has been detected, but you remain emotionally dressed for battle. Your next quest is to leave one suspicious noise uninvestigated. Don't manufacture a crisis, volunteer for unnecessary suffering, or stab anything simply because peace feels inadequately structured. The kingdom's safe. Please sit the fuck down.
It worked! Prince Lear!
And you would have gone without me?
If you rolled a 3 or 4, you get the Molly Grew claim. Delivery status: late, but still magic. Something you needed may be arriving after you stopped expecting it. Your complaint is valid. You're permitted to yell, cry, demand an explanation, and ask the universe where the fuck it's been. But don't reject the present gift solely because it can't travel back in time. File the grievance, then accept the unicorn.
It would be the last unicorn in the world that came to Molly Grew. It's all right. I forgive you.
And if you rolled a 5 or 6, you get the happy ending Hangover. Emotional status: complicated. The quest succeeded, but your delayed grief has entered the chat. You may feel exhausted, tender, angry, or strangely empty now that the crisis is over. Don't panic, this isn't regression. Your feelings finally found a safe place to land. Accept the cake, let someone sit beside you. You're allowed to celebrate and emotionally collapse at the same party. If you rolled a 7 or 8, you get the Mossy Gold Restoration. Maintenance status: critically overdue. Your magic is not gone. It's currently buried beneath fatigue, neglect, and several layers of emotional swamp residue. Choose one active maintenance that serves no emergency. Rest, play, nourishment, pleasure, support, or washing the metaphorical moss off your ass. You don't need another transformation, you need tending.
I can't do this very much longer. He had me juggling teacups for him all night long. Teacups with tea in them.
And lastly, if you rolled a 9 or 10, you get the Amalthea route. Legendary quest unlocked: forward. Your previous version is no longer available, and you're finally ready to stop requesting restoration. Leave the castle, accept the support. Follow the new spark before your survival instincts converted into another fucking obligation. You can't become who you were, but you can become someone more alive than survival could ever allow.
Unicorns are in the world again. No sorrow will live in me as long as that joy. Save one. And I thank you for that part too.
And whatever you rolled, Traveler, don't re-roll simply because the answer offended your coping mechanisms. The universe support keeps records, you know. Frequency Collective. And that is where tonight's fairy tale ends. Not when the dragon dies, but when the survivor realizes survival is no longer enough. King Lear must discover his worth without another rescue. Molly must accept that magic arriving late is still magic. Amalthea must carry love and regret into a life that can never again be untouched. And you must decide whether the skills that saved your life are still qualified to control it. Because if this reading taught us anything, it's that survival mode was not your enemy. It was a protection spell. But the battlefield isn't your kingdom, and a protection spell left active too long eventually becomes a prison. The spell worked. You survived. The dragon's dead. The door is open. And underneath the armor, the maiden still lives. The gold still shines. The spark still burns. And maybe the next kingdom is simply a warm room, a safe conversation, a desire you don't need to justify, a peaceful morning you allow to remain peaceful. Don't mistake ordinary peace for an unimportant ending. That is what every sword was lifted for. And hey, if this reading resonated, please hit the like and subscribe buttons to stay tuned to the chaos. And feel free to drop a comment below telling the Frequency Collective, what part of survival mode are you finally ready to let expire? This is the Neon Priestess signing off the signal. And remember, traveler, once upon a time, you survived. From this moment forward, you live.